Hello, this is Sandy with Sandy's Crafted Creation, and this is day 3 on the Christmas card book. And we have all our pages in, and I have cut papers that I want to put on my pages. And I'm going to start out, all of these to cover the solid pages are 5 3/4 wide by 8 inches tall. So they're going to fit on this. Now this first page, I'm going to leave this one kind of like a title page, so I cut this down where I have this rest part of the sleigh and the Merry Christmas. So I'm going to put that on there with my ATG tape. And when my ATG gun's working right, it makes it real quick and easy to pattern these. And then I'm going to be getting out my cards to determine how many different ways I want to cut the cards up before I get started here. Let me get this one on straight. Right, there we go. Okay. And I will probably put a part of a card here or something, but what I wanted to show you real quick before we go on is if you want to add flaps, extra flaps into your book, you simply measure the height of the page, which is 8 1/2. And then you measure how wide it is, which is 6, and you add a 1/2 inch to make it. So you cut it 6 1/2 by 8 1/2. Then you score it on the 6 1/2 inch. Put this at the top, 6 1/2 inch at the top of your scoreboard, and score it 1/2 inch. This gives you a flap to attach to the edge, and you can do this as many pages as you want. I've just done one for right now because I kind of need to wait and see how many pages or how many spaces I need for different cards. So you're going to need to do the same thing. You're just going to need to plan it out and see how many flaps you want. And since this was cut out of a 12 by 12 and I could only get one out of a 12 by 12 sheet, I didn't want to waste my rest of my cardstock, so I'm going to show you what I did for that one. Now for this, you just line it up. You can do it any side you want, but do it on an outer edge. I just think that makes it a little bit better. So you line it up, the fold line along the cut edge of your page, and I use the score tape, so you just press that down. And so now we have, the book opens up, and then you can open up this way. So with that piece that was left over from the cardstock, I'm going to just flip over here and just put it somewhere this side. I left it the size that it was, which was leftovers, made it 5 1/2, but I had the 8 1/2, so I scored it at 8, which gave me a 1/2 inch hinge, and then this remaining part from the score line all the way out is 8, so to make it half would be score at 4. So I scored the 8 1/2 inch piece at 1/2 inch and at 4 inch. Then this folds down, and then this becomes a hinge, and so you can have a short flap anywhere you want it in the book. Now I'm going to do it, I think on this side. I think I want it, let's see, I want it to go this way. So it folds in. So I'm folding it in. So I fold it down this way. Apply my 3/8 inch tape. And then I'm just going to stick it, and it doesn't have to be exactly in the same spot. I mean, it can be bottom or top or center. I'm going to kind of center mine. So we have a short flap here, just for a different look, that folds in and folds down. Now then, you may not like the way it pops up. So if you have some magnet snaps, these are basic gray. This is the large size. This one has 2 pluses in here, so that's not going to work. Let me see. They come in large and small. So let me grab a small, because small will also work. They're self-adhesive, so I want a minus magnet with a plus. They're real little. So see, they have your plus and minus, and they stick together like that. So take one, it doesn't matter which one, peel the backing off, and attach it where you want it to close down. and then attach the opposite magnet to it like that so that the adhesive is facing up. Peel that off and attach it down. Now that flap will stay down. Lift it up so you have your two magnets. Until I'm ready to pattern this, I'm going to make sure none of the magnets pull off, so I just cover them up with a little bit of score tape. And then when you add your pattern paper, it's going to cover that up. So that's how to put in a magnetic flap. Okay, I'm going to pause the camera and get my cards out that I want to start with, and then I'll show you how I do some of my cards. I went through my cards for 2014, and for this first page I kind of wanted something that kind of went along with it. So this card was from my sister-in-law with the snowmen and the stockings, and I really like that, but the card is too big. So this is what I start doing. I take the front and I cut it down. So I cut down this part, and I like that, and I think I'm going to deco punch the corners. So you just use your cards and put them in the way you want. So this becomes a decorative piece. This one with the holly I'm going to save, and then I'll also save the sentiment and her name for maybe possibly a tag or somewhere else in the book. So I'm just going to attach this down, and that's the first page of my Christmas card book. So pretty much this is what you do with all your different cards. You just look at them. I'm going to see if I can find another one for the next page here. So this one, I like the whole card with the handmade card from one of my friends online. So I'm going to look at the papers. I think I'm going to use this green here. So I'm going to go ahead and mat this paper in. And if you want to ink your papers, you can. I'm not going to ink mine. Just making this as a real quick, fast project. My cutter didn't cut real straight right there, so I'm just going to put that with a sander. And put this here. And then I'm going to take the matching green and I'm going to put it on this flap front. Okay, just making sure I had it on straight. And so I need to put this one here, and I'm going to attach this one down so that we can flip this up. So I'm going to use my score tape on that. I'm going to use the big side to hold this down good, because it's heavier and I don't want it pulling loose. Plus my ATG gun ran out and I've got to stop and refill it. So put this one on real quick. I'm going to put that here. Okay, so I have patterned these two, the flaps, with the green dot. And instead of putting this down here below, I'm going to put it on a different page. Then I've started using different papers out of my leftover stash. So this is some beige with snowflakes. And then I put this photo card on here. And then for this flap, I patterned it with some Christmas trees from some of the vintage papers. So I'm going to take my 1-inch punch, because I want people to know that this is a flap that you can lift up. So I'm going to punch just half a circle, and I just eyeball it and center it, and punch that out after I've patterned it so that I have a little notch there like that. And this flips back. So now I'm going to take some glue. I matted that piece of the card to some red cardstock and then to some of the matching snowflake paper. And I'm only going to put glue on the bottom edge. This is so I can make it a place holder. So So I'm going to center this at the bottom, right there. And once that glues, I'm going to stick a card in there, and I think I'm going to put, let's see, what we got? It's a Santa card, like right there. And this will hold it in, and you can take it in and out to look at it. So then that folds up, and so I can put something there. Let's see if we find another photo card. And remember, you're going to have to cut these to make them fit. So don't fret about that. So I'm going to cut this one. I'm going to show you what I mean. So that I can keep the border there, I cut the picture down so it would fit. Now this has a picture of my friends that are in Germany. They're in the snow globe, and I just love that with the Santa. So that's going to go up there. But then I still wanted to know their names with it, so I'm going to take my, I think, stub. That's the angle. And the stub punch. I think that's on my deco punch. Yeah, I'm going to do the stub this time on this one. So I'm going to stub the corners. And that's going to go there. I'm also going to stub these, but I think I'm going to put this on red cardstock. So and I'm going to go ahead and put their picture down. And then I'm going to put the ho ho ho. And I'll probably put a bow or something there because I like that. And I did not stub that, so I may want those stubbed. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and stub that. I probably should have done the part on the card and on the red, but I'm just going to do it this way. So this is how you cut your cards. Still have the whole thing, but have it where it's all on the page to fit in this book. Now I can add some kind of sticker or something there. I'll show you real quick. I patterned these 2 pages with this blue snowflake paper. I added this card, but I wanted to show you what I mean by adjusting the flaps and things for what you need. So this was the card, photo card like this. It's attached together, so I cut it down so I have their names and sentiment on this side and then their pictures here. And so I made a flap out of red cardstock with a 1/2 inch hinge. And yes, I should have done this before I put the paper down, but I'm okay with that, so it's not going to bother me. But if you know you're doing that before you put your solid paper down on the page, then you can put this underneath. Now what I can do, is I've already put the tape on, and I think that's what I'll do. Let's see here. Is if I fold it so it goes onto the other page in reverse, right here along the hinge. Put that there. That'll be hid by paper. And then we still have this flap here. So I'm going to put the sentiment part here on the top of the flap. Right here. Fold that down. And I should have done it beforehand, but I can still do it. I'm going to go ahead and stub the ends of this. Not the top, but just the ends. Like that. And now their picture is going to go under here. So now if I want to need to add a card up in here, I can. And then I can add some kind of decorative thing there at the bottom. So that turns over, and I'm ready to do the other parts.